Welcome to I Am Well podcast. I am your host, Gemma, a nutritionist and mindset coach passionate about all things health and wellness. I'm going to take you on a journey to discovering what health means for you and how to create a life you love living. I'm on a mission to uplift those who feel overwhelmed with what it means to be healthy, reminding you, my listeners, that nutrition is only one aspect of health, and empower you to live your best life on your terms. Let's get to it. Welcome back to I Am Well podcast. Today I have on a little special guest. I have my sister, and you might get confused because we have had most of our life that we sound the same. So this will be interesting to hear back on. But yeah, welcome, Courtney.
Thank you for having me. Hello.
Thank you for coming on. How you been?
I've been well. I've been good.
Yeah. We both have moved from Melbourne to Gold Coast. Most people know this, I feel like, that follow me, but for those new listeners, we're both obviously born in Australia, but we moved from Melbourne to the Gold Coast last year. Mm-hmm. You moved in August?
Start of August, yes.
Yeah, and then I moved like 4 months later. But how have you felt since the big move?
Good.
Yeah.
I feel like it's been the best thing for us all. Mm-hmm. It's also been like a very mentally challenging thing to obviously uproot your whole life with kids.
Yes.
And move states, with dogs included. But I feel like it's been the best for us, especially you. I feel like you have flourished so much from it. So, yeah.
Yeah, like, I think I needed to get into a new location.
Yeah.
I think I definitely just needed a new space to find myself.
Definitely. And I definitely think when it's blue skies every day and nicer weather, you mentally are a lot clearer. I don't know. Yeah.
It's so true. Like, some people, like, I don't want to rub anyone off, the wrong way, but because some people love winter and some people love the cold.
Yes.
But that just definitely was not us.
No.
And if anyone knows about Melbourne's from Melbourne, like, you get a certain window of like a little bit of summer.
Yeah.
I think it kept getting less and less as the years like have gone on. But it is freezing. Like, when it's cold, it's freezing cold, and you will wear like a jumper and then a puffer jacket on top and then a scarf around.
And it'll be raining and windy.
Yeah.
And just the elements. Not cool.
And then coming here, and we are we're about to be in May. So we're coming April into May, and I'm wearing a dress right now.
Yeah. And you can go outside and not have to think about what the weather's going to be.
Yeah, and people are like, oh, we're coming into winter. Like, people are like saying that around here, and I'm like, what do you mean? Like, we're coming into winter now, are we? And they're like, yeah. So I'm going to go buy some winter clothes. I'm like, what winter clothes are you going to buy?
I know. I'm like, do I have to dress the kids up warmer? But nope, they're still in shorts and a t-shirt. Like,
yeah.
It's crazy.
And so I was like to them, well, because I was saying to like someone who lives here, I was like, well, in Melbourne, like, we would have to have puffer jackets. Like, and they're like, oh, no, we've never had a puffer jacket, but we wear jumpers. And I'm like, okay, like, I love this.
I know. You used to have to pack when, like, packing these kids' bags, you have to put puffer jacket in, gumboots.
Yeah.
But then also sometimes you'd also have to pack, like, t-shirts and stuff in case it did get warm at the peak of the day. Yes. But then it would get freezing, so you'd have to pack so much.
Because that's the only other thing about Melbourne is sometimes you get all 4 seasons in one day.
It can be like really beautiful, nice weather, and then the next day it's 10 degrees and raining and windy, and you just go, that's just not good.
We literally just heard from our dad, who was like, he was saying, oh no, it was our brother, Trent.
Yeah.
He was saying that it was like really hot or muggy or something.
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell? And so I checked the weather, and I think it was like 24 there.
Yeah.
And then the next day it was like 10 degrees. I was like, what?
It's insane. It's not, Whereas here, the weather's just like more like less changes. Like it's more stable.
And it really does change your mood, like living in a like weather that's more consistent and you're seeing sun more often. Like it's just, I don't know. I think that's been my biggest change for me. Like if anyone is ever feeling stuck, like just switching your location can be everything. Because sometimes if you're stuck where you are to growing up for so long, you get stuck in these ways because you feel like you have to act how everyone has known you since you were in primary school. So you're like...
And you can't grow.
Yeah, and you can never try different identities, try to figure out who you want to be or who you are now, because you feel like you're worried of this judgment. Yeah. So you're just like, when you do a change of location, and it's not like it was massive change. Like, I mean, it is big to us, but I mean, it could have been bigger.
Yeah.
We just moved states within Australia. But it was big enough to then for me to rediscover myself. Like to be like, oh, okay, I don't have to be the same Gemma that everyone knew in primary school or whatever. I can like figure out who I want to be now.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, been the best thing ever. And Courtney now has her 2 girls in daycare. Yeah,
they started daycare and they now go to the same daycare that Gemma's girls go. Girl and boy goes to.
Oh, yeah.
So they all go to school together, which is really cute. Yeah. Because we had that back in Victoria. And then, we've got it up here too, which is nice.
Yeah. It's such a beautiful daycare too.
Oh my God, it's
next level. Bougie as.
Yeah, it's never seen a daycare like it. It's crazy.
They've got like their own little cafe at the front. I'm like, what is this?
It's fancy.
So, I don't know. I just thought I'd get you on here to kind of tell us a little bit about what you've kind of gone through, through growing up. Things that have worked for you, things that haven't, and really like coming into mum life too.
Yeah.
You know, talking about what most women don't hear before they go into pregnancy.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, they don't get warned of, and it's kind of like this whole idea that when you're pregnant, it's going to be this magical 9-month journey and you're going to feel glowing and everyone's going to want to touch your baby bump and it's going to be amazing. And then when you might have an opposite feeling or opposite experience and you're like, what's wrong with me?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I definitely felt that. Like, I remember being like, I never, at the time, I didn't really think about having kids or anything. And then one day I was like, oh my God, no, I think I want kids. After seeing you with Summer and stuff, I was like, oh, I really want kids. And then like, I was just expecting it to be a breeze being pregnant. Mm-hmm. I just was not going into it with like awareness of what actually comes with being pregnant. Yeah. So I just remember then like becoming pregnant and everything. And I was like, oh, this is great. And then I actually found it really hard. Like it had beautiful moments and everything. Of course it did. But man, it was hard to be pregnant. And and I think you just see a lot of people like the highlights of it, of course, through social media and everything like that. But you don't see the struggles of what comes with it, with like the pain you're in, the like it's not your body anymore, really. You feel like out of body experience. It's very bizarre.
I have like the best story, like example of that, where I remember I saw like an influencer's Instagram and they'd just given birth and their hair looked gorgeous and they were like spray tanned and it was just a beautiful, like the baby was on their chest and it was just gorgeous and she was smiling and I was like, that's how I want to look. And my birth was planned.
I'm laughing because I think I know where this is going.
My birth was planned and I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I curled my hair.
I remember that.
Everyone listening is probably like, what? But no, I didn't know. No one told me what birthing was like. So I curled my hair. I put it up because I was like, well, after I give birth, then I'm going to take it out of the clip, have it down. It's going to be luscious and I'm going to get my photo.
Yeah.
I got a spray. I didn't get a spray tan. I put tan on, like self-tanning on. And before I went in, I was like, oh my God, I'm glowing. I'm looking amazing. And obviously I didn't go in with makeup on, but I was like, I might put a little bit on before the photo. You might, this is going to be This is going to be my moment.
It's what you see on social media. It's what you see. Like, apparently it's just a thing.
And, oh my God, what I went through, I had no idea what was to come. Like, I got induced. I got the balloon done and I didn't know I was going to be going through labor for like the next 24 hours. I had no idea.
But the extreme of it, because it hit you. They were like, oh, no, you won't feel it. You'll just go to sleep. Here's a sleeping tablet.
I know. And they gave me a sleeping tablet.
And you got hit like straight away. Like your body instantly responded and didn't want to sleep. Your body was like, no, let's do this. So it got dragged out for so long.
That's what they warned me before I went in. They're like, okay, we're going to induce you. We're going to give you a sleeping tablet. Have some dinner. Go to sleep. You're going to wake up feeling refreshed and ready to push this baby out. And I was like, oh, that sounds like easy. A breeze. So they did the balloon. They gave me the sleeping pill, and then all of a sudden, I think it was like, I don't know, it was 2 or 3 hours later, I don't know, but all of a sudden I was starting to feel really extreme pains. And they just like were looking at me like, oh, come on, Gemma, like, it's not that bad kind
Didn't
of thing.
they brush you off and they were like, no, you're not having contractions yet.
They're like,
your body wouldn't be doing that.
They're like, no, you wouldn't be having contractions just yet. And I was like, well, then what am I feeling?
What is happening? And then they're like, oh no, yeah, you are having contractions. Yeah. You are. You're into labor.
Yeah, when I started vomiting up my dinner, I think that's when they were like, oh, I don't think she's putting this on. It's like, yes. So then I was like, the only thing that calmed me is I was like full naked in the shower. I had my mum and my husband there with me, and I was bouncing on an exercise ball, just naked, having the shower just like
so your beautiful curled hair
hit the back of my body, because the shower was, I think I had it so hot, but it just felt so good, like hitting my back, and could you imagine? I had self tanning on. Could you imagine then the water's hitting my back?
It's just like melting it away.
By the end of it, my tan was all over the shop. Like, I would have looked so ridiculous. It was so blotchy. I had white patches everywhere.
You're definitely not the only person though that's done this. I feel like it's a very common occurrence.
And then and the photo that I did get, like, I love it. I love it because it's so real and so raw, and it's so funny, this story, because I thought it was going to be a completely different experience. The photo I got was like summer on my chest. I have like blood on my chin. I look like I'm asleep. I'm pretty sure I fell asleep.
You're like
God. My hair is a mess. Like, it's still up in the bun. There's no curls. I don't even know what happened to the curls, and my fake tan's all blotchy. And I was just like, oh my God, it's just so funny. And I just love that. Like, that's just a pure example there of how much social media can really trick you into like what, and maybe you did have a birth where it just did, the baby did just pop out, and
that does happen, and it is amazing. Like, that's so good.
But it doesn't happen to everyone.
Sometimes it doesn't go that way,
and that's okay too. Yeah. And I love my photo now. Like, I look at my photo and go, that was special. Like, that was raw, and I love the story. I just think it's so funny.
It is. What a time.
Even like your experience with SAS.
Yeah.
Like, that was
I was
intense.
actually just talking about that with Mum a few days ago, because we were saying, like, I wonder, actually, I watched a series, what was it called? Bump on Stan. It's an Australian.
I've seen the promos to that. It's actually, I've actually seen the promos that many times, and I've always been like, I don't know why. It's intrigued me to watch it.
So, who we used to work with, our other sister.
Yes.
Crystal. She recommended it to me when I was pregnant with SAS, I think. I was pregnant with SAS at the time. And told me to watch it and everything. And I watched it. And then they came out with new seasons, but I just never got back into it. But I recently just binged them all and watched like all the seasons.
Yeah.
And in it, there's a birth scene, and it like, actually, I started crying in it because the baby gets, I don't know if it's trigger warning or whatever, but this baby gets taken away straight away. And I started crying, and I was like, oh no, I can't watch it. And I had to skip through it because it reminded me back of SAS, of what happened with her. And I was like, oh, obviously I've got some mentally things there that I've just sort of blocked off, because obviously her birth was fine. Everything was fine. It just, as soon as she came out, she had to get taken away, and then it was code blue going across the whole hospital floor on the birthing suite, and you could just hear this, like, the siren, and then everyone came rushing in. And I was like to Mum, it's actually probably really like traumatic. Like now that I think about it, I'm like, that was, yeah. So then it definitely hindered my experience of like birth, because I know with my next one, Aisha, I was so panicked when she came out about what was happening. And because both my girls didn't cry when they came out, they didn't make noise. Obviously Sass was a lot worse, but Aisha was just a very quiet baby when she came out. So I remember that was really hard and everything like that. So, but it was just it's such a funny thing, because there was no, like the birth, it's like it wasn't extreme, as in like I had the epidural, so I was just sleeping. I wasn't doing it. So it wasn't hectic. It was at the very last minute it got hectic. And then, so I was saying to Mum the other day, I was like, I actually probably have some issues there that I probably need to deal with.
100%.
Because like, and it was just because I watched that show. I was like, oh no, I can't watch that. That made me upset. I don't like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just don't obviously think about it often anymore. But
that would have been so traumatic.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the thoughts going through your mind, like you're hearing this code blue, no one's telling you what's going on. Like, of course,
there was like, oh my God, it felt like a million people just ran into the room. It was,
and you're like, did it just feel like it just went forever?
Yeah, I remember just staring like at the little bassinet thing, the heater incubator thing that Sassy was in, like just staring, crying, and being like, what's happening? Like, so it was very traumatic at the time. But now I'm like, I think I just played off as like, oh no, it wasn't that bad. But I remember at the time just looking at Brad, and then looking at like our mum, like being like, what's happening? And then I just remember Mum was trying to distract me and be like, everything's okay and all that.
Yeah.
And then you had the obstetrician trying to talk to me and trying to distract me as well. So everyone was trying to distract me, and I knew that was a problem, because I was like, wait, what's happening?
Yeah.
But
and you would have just like wanted someone to just give you an answer.
Yeah. Like, and like she wasn't making any noise or anything. So like I was like, babies are like, and you see it in the movies, babies as soon as they come out, they cry, they like scream and make noise and all that. And that, so I wasn't expecting that going into birth.
Mm-hmm.
But
was it something when you were pregnant with Aisha? Like, was it something that you worried about throughout the pregnancy? Or
I didn't really worry about it till it got to the end point of knowing, okay, well, I've got to give birth soon, and knowing that I had to go through it again. And then when Aish came out and she wasn't crying either, I worried a lot. And because they put her on my chest for a little bit, but then they sort of took her away to like, I don't know, work on her a little bit. I think they were like trying to get her to cry and everything. I don't know. I don't really know what was happening. But I kept panicking, and then my obstetrician was just like, what's wrong? Why are you upset? And I was like, because I was like, this is what happened last time. But I was, so it was just very random births. I don't know. I'm very fortunate. They were both happy and healthy, and like it ended so well for me. So I'm very, very fortunate. But going through that has definitely put a like, I don't know, like a worry about birth.
Yeah, and I feel like it's these, because technically it's a traumatic experience, and these experiences that we have as women, we don't delve into them enough. Like we go, oh yeah, that was traumatic, but I'm strong and I'm good now and everything's fine. And my, as you said, like my daughters are healthy, so it's fine. Like I'm lucky. Like, so then you brush it off. But
the thing is, I still don't actually know what happened. Like I still don't know why what happened. Like I don't know if there was something wrong or something. I don't actually know. I never asked. I never found out or whatever, because I think it was just, that was the end of that. So like I did never get into it again.
Yeah. That would have kind of been a bit like you didn't get closure from it then.
Yeah.
Like, what happened?
Yeah. And then because as soon as I gave birth to Sass, I ended up getting preeclampsia, which was...
that's right.
Yeah, hectic in itself, because then it wouldn't go away, and then I had to end up going on blood thinners and things like that. So I think that then also got distracted of like finding out what was happening.
What happened, yeah.
And then it got distracted because all the nurses were then worried about me and being like, well, why isn't your blood pressure going down?
Yeah.
But... yeah, so...
And was this, like, during COVID as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, so then you also had that.
Yeah. I gave birth to Sass, and then the following day we went into lockdown. Like, serious, like...
yes.
no visitors type of lockdown.
Yeah.
So that was crazy. And all the hospitals were obviously very worried at that point and still very strict and everything, which made it difficult. But, yeah. But that was a very heavy...
Yeah. No, but it's good because...
That's very heavy compared to you. Like, yeah.
But, like, this is what I'm trying to get the point across is that we don't, especially, I just feel like it can happen with men too, but I want to really put the point across for women is that we don't dive into these traumas that happen in our life enough.
Yeah.
And we just kind of go, well, you know, we're a mum now. I've got things to do. I don't have time to do it. But it's actually going to carry with you in different parts of your life without you even realizing.
Yeah.
Like the fact that you watched that TV show and it triggered something and you were like, I can't, you know, there's then something in your mind
it's obviously in the
that
back
it's
there
still there.
Yeah.
And it's really important that you actually do look into it and dive into like what's actually going on there.
Yeah. Well, I definitely know because even when I was born, I had a traumatic birth.
Yeah.
Like our mum had a traumatic birth with me.
Yeah.
Because I had the cord wrapped around my neck and then also pooed and everything like inside.
Yeah.
Or something. I don't really know what happened, but it was traumatic. And then I've seen like psychologists since and all that, and they've gone, well, I know that you don't remember that, but that would be traumatic to you, and which would lead to other things. So it definitely is plays such a vital role in like.
They always say like your body remembers too.
Yeah.
So you might not remember it in your memory part of your brain.
Yeah.
But your body remembers like that something happened traumatic then.
Yeah.
I actually had a guest recently on. She was like lovely, like her name's Georgia. You'll hear the podcast when it comes.
Yeah.
But she was talking about how like she had anxiety growing up, like really early on in school.
Yeah.
And I couldn't like help but just think of like you. I was just like thinking like, because she was saying like how when she got anxiety when she was 14, it was like a social anxiety.
Yeah.
That she didn't really know what was going on. And she went and saw a psychologist at 14, and it wasn't like it was a time like nowadays it's a bit easier to go to a psychologist. I get it, it's still scary and still daunting, especially doing it in high school. But back then, like 10 years ago, it's like it was a big no thing. It was like, well, no, because you can only go to a psychologist if something's really wrong with you.
That's
Whereas people talk about it now on podcasts and things like, oh yeah, I went and saw my psychologist the other day. Like it's like nothing. But back then in school, it's like it was like
such a huge thing.
You must be like mentally ill if you're seeing a psychologist.
Which is crazy.
So yeah, it just made me think of you, and it just reminded me then when you were saying that you went and saw a psychologist and they were talking about your birth and everything. So if it's okay with you, can we just dive into that part a little bit?
Yeah, of course.
So because the earliest memories that I have being your 3 years older sister. Yeah. I was like, not 3 year old sister. I think you were just being born then. That was the first traumatic experience.
Bloody hell.
No, the earliest memories I really have of your anxiety was in primary school. You would get nervous before every day that school started back.
Yeah. I honestly don't know where it came from. And that's what like that psychologist has been like, it would be things that you don't remember, like your birth and things like that have happened along the way. But yeah, I remember clear as day, like right now, there was a good week or two where I just didn't go to school because I felt sick every morning and I was vomiting. And I remember mum and dad were like, what is wrong? And I was like, I don't know. And I was like in hysterics and I just couldn't figure it out. Now looking back, I'm like, oh, that was anxiety. That was me. Yeah. Like, that was me just being anxious to go to school. But it used to be, it was crazy because I just don't know why. Like I look back, I'm like, why was I anxious to go to school? There was nothing wrong with it. But I don't know the whys, but I just remember that's when it started. Mm-hmm. And I used to get so anxious about going to new things. Like we did a lot of dancing and did a lot of like dancing events, like concerts and competitions and all that. And I would cry and get sick before them because I just would, I don't know, be so anxious about it. But it wasn't until I started seeing the psychologist as I got older that I put two and two together and was like, that's what that was. Mm-hmm. But I I saw a psychologist once when I was in year 10. I remember some stuff was going on at school and I went to the doctors and everything, and then they suggested to go see a psychologist. But it was like at that time where it wasn't, I don't know if it's just not talked about in high school, or if it is now, I don't know. But at that time, I had never heard of it before or anything. And I just remember going to this psychologist appointment with Mum. And then she asked Mum to leave, and then she was talking to me and everything, and I just hated it, and I did not want to. And I obviously now, because I've been to other psychologists, I just didn't glue with this psychologist.
Yeah.
I just didn't relate, and she didn't feel warm. She didn't feel like I wanted to tell her what was happening. She just felt like she was just just asking really hard questions that I just didn't want to answer to her that I didn't know. So I went to her like once or twice, and then I never went back because I was like, no, that's horrible. That felt like torture to me. So I was like, why would I do that? And then in the end, I think at one point I saw a new psychologist who I really bonded with her, and she was very easy to talk with, and it's such a different feeling. And and then I've seen a few more since of different types and everything. Through pregnancy, I had to see a psychologist because I got prenatal depression. Because it wasn't post, it was pre. Prenatal depression, anxiety. So I had to go see someone through that. So I've definitely had my fair share of like psychologists and issues and everything. But it's been honestly the best thing. Yeah. Because I've actually learnt so much about myself through seeing them and learning so much. So I am thankful that I had the resources to do it and had the support around me to be able to do it. Yeah. And know to go get help rather than just deal with it myself. But yeah, I did have a rough time there for a bit.
I feel like that's a good tip though, if anyone is like trying to find a psychologist at the moment, and then just because if you go to your first appointment doesn't mean you're stuck with them. Yeah. Like, it's okay. Like,
you definitely need to find someone that you can relate to, and not relate to, but feel comfortable with, because obviously not everyone you're going to glue with, or you pick up on energies and things like that. You're not going to feel great with some people, and then other people you do. So it's the same with your doctors and everything.
And it's like human nature to sometimes blame ourselves. So we'll go to like a psychologist and we'll be like, oh, like, obviously it doesn't work for me. Like, I'm not opening up enough. Like, what's wrong with me? But like, everyone's personalities are so different. Everyone is different. That of course you're not one psychologist is going to suit all. Yeah. So you have to find someone that suits you. Yeah. And you, obviously you feel comfortable enough to share deeper parts of you. Yeah. Because sometimes it's stuff that you're going to share that you'd be even too scared to tell your closest family, or too scared to tell your best friend or something. Yeah. So how are you expected to tell someone you've just met?
And then like you just get that also thing of like, oh, it's not that bad. Like, if someone else has it worse, or I'm actually very fortunate. Like, this is just silly and stuff like that.
Yeah. But that was like the point, like when you were talking about like with SAS and like the trauma of it. It's like, yeah, okay, someone could have... Yes, there's people out there that have had it worse. Yeah. Had that doesn't make your trauma any less. Like, you should still... and that's what we keep doing to each other. Yeah. Like, it's like, oh, well, you only had that. Like, I had this. It's like, it's not a competition. No. It's about... I love... When I dove into, like, self-development, I love it all because it does just make you become more aware of yourself. Yeah. And... Yeah. That's what the goal is at the end of the day, to keep being better, like just 1% better than you were yesterday, but not trying to focus on everyone else and competing with everyone else.
Yeah, like you are running your own race. Like, you don't need to watch what other people are doing and have that in the back of your mind, even though everyone does. But so then definitely like from after then having birth and everything, like giving birth and everything like that, I found it very good that I had a psychologist with me, because then getting into like having a baby and everything, that plays with you mentally so much. So I found it really helpful that I had a psychologist there that I was already seeing beforehand. Yeah. So then like get through the first few months of becoming a mum and things like that. So yeah,
that's actually a really good point.
Yeah. So I actually really did like did really like that, which is funny.
Because when you do become a mum, you like, people don't go into this enough either. Like, I do feel like you become a different identity. Like,
I feel like you're reborn.
Yeah, it just, because you're not solely focused on you anymore.
Yeah.
You're now looking after this new person, and you just change. Just change, and it's unexpected. And then sometimes it can make you depressed because you might miss the old you, or you might,
and you just feel confused.
Miss different parts of the old you.
Yeah.
But that's normal.
Yeah.
It's so normal, but it's just not talked about. So having a psychologist would have helped.
It was actually really good.
Yeah.
It's not something you think about going into pregnancy and everything, but if you are going, oh, is this normal? Am I I don't think I'm coping. I definitely would recommend going to see someone, because it helped me so much. And I had seen people prior and everything, and I was doing well and everything, but as soon as those hormones hit, just did not cope well. So but
I literally heard on the information webinar that I'm doing at the moment. I think I was telling you this, but she was saying that with women's brains, when we give birth and we have our babies, we stop using certain parts of our brain. It's called pruning. So we it's kind of bits of our brain just turns off because we need the other part of our brain to turn on, which is your intuition. That needs to become bigger so that you can tune into your baby more, because they're not able to talk. So you have this, the gut feeling that you have, this intuition where you're I think, something's going on here, or something's wrong, or something's not right. And, or you could hear your baby maybe crying, and your husband's like, what do you mean that I can't hear a thing? And you're like, I don't know. I just know when they're awake, and I know when they're asleep. And it's how do you know that? And it's because you actually have a part in your brain, which is the intuition part, that's actually turned on, which is just crazy. And then that's why they're called baby brain. Yeah. Well, we can't remember.
The human body is amazing.
I know.
It is crazy. But
so what were the biggest things for you that changed, after having, let's go with Sass, after you had Sass, because you weren't a mum before, obviously.
Yes. I think
we were in lockdown too.
Yeah.
Keep in mind.
So it was a weird time already, with being in a pandemic and a lockdown and everything. That was weird alone. But then throwing in having a baby was just, I don't know, I think losing yourself a little bit with your identity. I think the identity loss for me was a bit and then just the constant worry. You have the constant, is this okay? Is this right? Is this am I doing a good job? And just the constant worry. But I feel that never stops. I feel you will always worry. I feel about everything. They've just started daycare now. I'm worrying about not just started but restarted, and I'm oh God, are they okay there? Are they enjoying it?
Are they going to hate me for this?
Yes. It's that never ends. But just learning that's okay though.
It's normal.
Yeah.
What about now? How is everything going now? We're in the Gold Coast.
Yes. Definitely. I feel now, because my youngest is, I want to say almost 18 months. I think
it's
around,
confusing me. I keep saying she's 15 months, and I'm
I think
I think she's been 15 months for the past 5 months.
I don't actually know. I can't figure it out. I'm not, maths ain't my strong suit. But I feel now I'm just going, I can breathe again, because obviously they were very close together. My two girls are 18 months apart. So it was very busy there, and I didn't feel I could catch a breath of just trying to sort my body out.
Courtney's phone actually just rang. We just heard from the daycare,
and she's having a really good day. She actually hasn't lasted a full day, because she's only going one day, because it's just trying to get your kids into daycare is a mission. So she's only going one day, but she hasn't lasted a full day.
Yeah.
Because she's just been too upset, too out of sorts, and not comfortable. But today she's having a really good day, and she's currently napping. Yeah. Which is amazing. She's 8. She's having a nap. So
that's so good.
That's good. That's a
because it's hard. I actually think we should probably make this point too. Going to daycare it's like a mixed feeling of you feel guilty taking them to daycare because people like as women, you just cannot win. No. I'll just put this out. You cannot win because if you take your kids to daycare and you go and do work, some people are like, well, you're getting back into work. Like, that's amazing. But then other people are like,
you're letting someone else raise your child.
Yeah, you're letting someone else raise your child. They're way too young. Like, how are they? They're just a baby. They're so young. Yeah. And how selfish of you. And if you have to do that, you shouldn't have had kids. And I've seen women say this on comments on like Facebook and stuff. And then if you don't, say you're a stay-home mum, then you get, oh, you're so lazy. Like you've got the easiest life. You're just a stay-home mum. Like especially if you send them to daycare and you are a stay-home mum, then you get it even worse.
You get the double whammy.
Because you're like, it's toxic. I'm like, so wait, what are women supposed to do? Can someone please let me know? Like, so okay, we have kids. What do you want us to do?
Yeah.
Because we cannot work while the kids are at home.
Oh my gosh, no way.
Or if we have to go to work, obviously we can't take them with us.
Yeah.
So don't go back to work until, what age are you guys saying? Because some people say 2, some people say 5.
I know. But it's like, honestly, like it's amazing for them. Like, they make friends. They have little, like, they do so much at daycare that they don't do. Like, I don't do nowhere near as many activities as what they do there. Like, they learn good for
baby sign language.
Yeah, I know, which is crazy. Like, it's amazing. Like, but it's such a good thing. I just don't. Yeah, but it also comes with then the guilt of going, oh my God, they're upset. Yeah. Like, Aisha's been upset and everything, settling in. But she's having a really good day. She just needed that time to settle in.
Like, of course. Like, even when, as adults and you start a new job or you go to somewhere new, like, it's daunting. You get scared. You're obviously not going to be upfront and good at the start. Like, it takes you a while. It's the same with kids. Their emotions, though, are just more heightened.
Yeah. And they know that they can cry whenever they, like, that's fine. Yeah. That's such a normal, it's like as you grow up, you go, no, you don't cry in front of anyone. Like, that's not a good thing.
Like, I wish I had have been more confident myself when I was taking Summer to daycare at the start because there's so many just mixed messages out there of what you're supposed to do to be a good mum. Yeah. And it's just frustrating. And it's just like with everything for women. Like, it's just like you can never be the perfect woman.
No.
It's way too hard. Like, if you don't have kids and you just work, everyone will judge that. Yeah. And they'll be like, oh, how sad. She doesn't want kids.
And it's like, no, people don't, like, that's so normal. You don't need to have kids. Like,
Don't pin us that we're supposed to have a certain role.
Yeah. And not everyone has to do the same thing. Everyone, like, it's not being yourself if you're copying everyone else.
Yeah. I remember, like, when we were working at the salon and I had Summer and then I was with a client and I was like talking about, oh yeah, she goes to daycare, and then she was like, oh my gosh, I know a mum that had her child in at daycare
and tell you the worst
and
stories.
She was 6 months old or something, and I was like, oh, my daughter's 6 months.
Yeah. I was like, how do you think I'm here right now working?
Yeah. I was like, what? Like, what? It's just awful.
Yeah.
Like, and why do women do it to each other?
I know.
Leave the men to do that. Like, why are we also doing it?
Don't be nice. Just be nice.
I just don't get it.
Don't judge.
Yeah, don't judge.
Yeah.
Don't judge anyone.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't even remember what we were talking about before because your
phone
rang.
So distracted. And now we've gone on off a tangent.
I know, it just like powered me up. It just reminded me how angry I get at people about daycare.
I don't know. All I know is that motherhood is the best thing.
Yeah.
But also the hardest thing.
Because you have to find out who you are as this new person.
New learning.
At the start, I remember, like, my sole purpose was just being a mum.
Yeah.
And that's all I was focused, like, throughout even, like, summer. Like, it literally hasn't really been until we moved that I started being like, no, I'm going to focus on me more now.
Like,
I think I was doing it in increments here and there, like, when we were living in Melbourne, but not enough because I would keep feeling guilty once again and being like, oh, I'm being too selfish. Like, I need to just think of the kids. Yeah. But it's like when you start to work on yourself and do your own inner work and all that, like, then you're better for the kids.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you definitely, it's like that saying that you always say that you can't fill from an empty cup. Like,
yes.
Wait, you can't pour from an empty cup. So
Fill from it.
That doesn't really make I don't know. But no, you can't pour from an empty cup. Like, you've got to fill your cup first.
Yeah.
So that's, to be the best version of yourself for your kids.
Yeah. And that's what I want to teach them too. Like, I want to teach, like, some of that too. Like, it's not, it's not selfish to work on yourself.
No.
It's needed.
No,
it's actually a part of the work that you need to do.
Yeah. Well, you can see that, like, how much, like, lighter and happier and, like, how much joy you get out of life now compared to how, like, a few years ago, like, it, like, not.
Yeah, I was depressed.
Yeah. No, but, like, a few years ago, like, it was, like, it was hard. Like, it was not nice to see and everything, but now seeing you, how you are now, it's like, yeah, you need to work on yourself because look how much happier you are. Look how much, like, you enjoy your life and everything. It's so much nicer to see. Like,
and I think the only advice that, like, I'd really, like, say the biggest one is to, once you just stop caring about what other people think, and once you try so hard to work on freeing yourself from that, then it doesn't, like, then you can start all this stuff. Like, I mean, you can start it, but it's hard because I was always going in and out and trying to work on myself, but always like, oh, what are people going to think of me? And like, I did my own business. I mean, that side of things, but even just like if you book yourself a Pilates class or something, or if you book yourself going to the gym, like, I feel like I don't know if there's anyone else out there, but like, you feel like, oh, what are people going to say? Like, am I not being a good mum because I'm not instead of taking, say, my daughter to dancing, I've chosen to go to the gym or something.
Yeah, like you're looking after yourself. Yeah. I was going to say something.
Connie's had a mental block. It's fine.
See? That brain. It's foggy.
Yeah. I'm learning so much about, we were talking about this before I like hopped on, but I'm just like learning so much about women's cycles, and I'm just like
it's actually amazing.
So in it at the moment. Yeah. It's like so good. I am coming up to my period right now, and my body is like telling me to relax and be calm. And I think that's why, like, even to us talking right now, I'm getting kind of sleepy, kind of tired. Like, my body's like,
relax, nap time.
Stop talking, Gemma, just chill.
No time
and I'm
for
just
work.
I'm like all about listening to that now. So it's just like when you said like you went in a mental blank, I was like, oh, where are you at in your cycle?
What's your brain telling you?
Yeah.
No, it's actually amazing. And you need to like keep putting heaps out there because there's so much to learn for everyone. Like, I know nothing about it. So like learning from you what you're learning, it's really helpful and it's really good. So, so you need to keep doing it. You need to keep putting more out there because it's crazy how much we just don't know about how much our body's affected by the cycle and everything like that. Yeah.
And at the start because I've been so passionate about nutrition and stuff, I was like kind of focusing on just nutrition broad.
Yeah.
And then realizing the statistics behind like women's health and stuff, I was just like, oh my God, like, no, like I really, at the moment, I just need to focus more on women because I understand it from my point of view. And two, because it's not, like, there's so many things that we're just learning about women now. Yeah. Like I don't know if this is like too much information, but I literally was reading a book, Period Power. I can't remember who wrote it. But she was saying like they discovered that about the clitoris. Yes. And how it's like actually really long. I think it can go up to like 12 centimeters or something. But they didn't know this until like 1998.
Oh, damn.
Like, could you imagine, like, you've only just learnt about parts of, like the vagina in 1998? Like,
oh, my God.
What?
That's insane.
Like, we've done tests and everything on the human body for, like, so long, but we're only learning about women's bodies since 1998. Yeah. Like, that's not that long ago.
No. No. We're still so far behind with, like, the whole women, like... empowerment thing. Like,
and like now, because I'm a nutritionist and I want to help people like create a diet that suits their lifestyle, But really, at the end of the day, you actually have to know, one, what people's lifestyles are like, but two, what their hormones are like. You have to know what their cycle's like, or if they're having a period, or if they're not, if they're in menopause, because that's going to affect the foods that you should eat and when you should eat it. Yeah. And I'm like...
And you don't know that. You don't get taught that.
No, because how many programs have you bought, like, out there that'll just be like, they give you the standard meal plan. Yeah. And you're like, why can't I stick to it? Like, it's something I heard today, like, when you... coming up the week before your period, you're trying to build up progesterone. So progesterone loves good, healthy carbs, and that's how it thrives. Yeah. But if you're restricting your diets, say you're on like calorie deficit diet or something like that, and they were only giving you, you know, say you only had a certain amount of carbs in the morning, but then you're not really having it for the rest of the day, you're just having a salad or something, and you're like, oh my God, I'm craving like bread or pasta. Or you're like, I'm craving chocolate right now. Like, why am I craving it? It's because your body's telling you, girl, give me carbs. You need more because otherwise we ain't having a period. Like, give me more.
It needs to work. Like, it's,
And then you feel like a failure because you quit on your diet or you end up binging and you're like, damn it. And you're like, no, it's probably because your body was like, it's giving you the signals. It's giving you the hormones. Yeah. It's like, no, can you feed me?
You need to listen to me. You need to listen to me.
Yeah.
I know how to make your body work.
And all these diets that have been like created over time, like it's always been based around like men and men's health. So men, like, they can fast whenever. They don't have to worry about that kind of cycle.
They don't have the hormone drops and everything that women have. They don't have that. And they're physically built different. Like, they're just physically built to be... obviously from like being like cavemen or whatever, like the hunters, like they're physically just designed different. So that's like, I don't know why we keep trying to follow their diets and everything like that. It just doesn't work.
And we're setting ourselves up for failure. Really. But yeah, I just love it. I love knowing about the cycle now, and
it's empowering.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. When you get to like know your body more. And I just want I want it to be like more just everyday things when you just randomly talk about your period. You just kind of like, where are you on your cycle? Yeah. Like, you know, it's not like I'm on my period. And it's like,
hush, hush.
Yeah. Or it's like seen as like, ew, gross thing. And it's just like, I read something in that book too. It was like, could you imagine if men had their periods, like had periods, they'd be like, boasting about like, I had the longest one, or like, mine was crazy, like, you know, like, and like women don't do that because we've been like taught like growing up like to be real polite and be real feminine and be you know, and you need to be pretty and you know men don't want to know that you have a period, so please hush about that.
They find it gross, so don't talk about it. Like, sorry, it's human nature.
Yeah, well, you know, how do you think your baby happened?
Yeah. Like, but no, it's definitely amazing what you're learning. And I take my hat off to you because it's a lot of information and you are absorbing it so well.
I feel like when you're passionate about something, then you absorb it.
And you can tell you're definitely passionate about it. You definitely can tell that. So
thanks, girl. If you ever need help.
Yes. Well, I'm here for
you. Okay, well, I've talked your ear off, so thank you for coming on today.
No worries. Thank you for having me. Just a bit of random chit-chat here.
It's good. Look, I think I might call it like sister chats or something. Sister chats. I don't know. Yeah. If anyone has a better name, let me know, because I think I like would maybe make this a regular segment. Let me know, guys, what you think. But thanks for coming on. Thanks for coming out here today. I'm so glad that Aisha is sleeping well.
I know, thank God.
She's having the time of her life at daycare now.
It means we can do these things.
Yes. And I'll speak to everyone else in the next episode. Bye, guys.